Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, I finished the fringe. Well, I finished beading the 2 strawberry shortcake jackets and I started the cherry one.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
In last week's episode, I had the strawberry shortcake jackets out. It's just quilting cotton fabric, and I had a yard of it, so I made 2 jackets, and one was sort of pale pink with red, and the other, that one there, that's tiny bit of the fringe is done, that one is sort of more apricots and coral colours, and they're all sort of picking up the colours in the actual quilting print of the cotton fabric that I used. So this is what they look like now. By now, I mean the start of the week. At the end of the last video, I think I'd started doing the fringe, and then the fringe had 2 layers on it, so it took a while, and I finished the sleeves. I just did the outside half of each sleeve, so because I don't want the beaded fringe to sort of get stuck under my arm, and because there's like beads on the jacket as well, there's flower shaped beads on there as well, and it was just really complicated. I know it doesn't look entirely fabulous, sort of just the outer half, but when it's on skin, like when it's on your sleeve, it will look fine. So I've done 1 sleeve at this point, obviously, and magically the other one's done. I love it how like I just put down the camera and then do all this work and come back like the next day or later on or whatever, and it looks like I just did it in 2 seconds. Obviously, beading takes a very long time, but I really like this beading. There's a couple of Chanel collections from like a decade or 2 ago where the tweeds, they had red, white and pink all mixed together, and then fringed or beaded fringe, or bits of the tweed fringe made out of that. And yeah, this jacket looks a lot like a couple of those ones, so I really like that about it. But anyway, so I finished the body of the jacket, the basic beading and the fringe. Then I decided to do the design feature on the back. Originally I'd had these giant sequins on the back, but it looked wrong, and so I carefully took those all off. And I had these other beads. Like I was going to put my forage jacket, how I had beads on there that look like wild strawberries, these ones here. Well, I have enough of those to do one more jacket, the design feature on the back of one more jacket. So I was like, oh, well, this is literally a strawberry jacket, so that might be cute. But then I remembered I had these ones which are much smaller, and I don't know what it is about them. When you see them en masse, I don't know, they kind of remind me of, those leather motorbike jackets that had the metallic studs. There was this really bling phase, and I don't know, there's something really kitschy. Like I just think My Kitty or Hello Kitty or whatever it is, like this quilting cotton that I'm using here, just reminds me of that sort of Hello Kitty aesthetic. And I just think a Hello Kitty sort of dress with a motor jacket would look really cute. So it makes sense in my mind. So that's why I ended up going with these. Each of the beads is a berry coloured, so some of them are sort of cherry coloured, some of them are blackberry coloured, some of them are like paler strawberry, some of them are raspberry, and then each of them have got little bits of either gold or silver on them, but from far away it sort of looks, I don't know. But anyway, I started doing it and it was such a big mistake. Oh my gosh, these beads because they're bicones, so they look kind of like a diamond, and oh my gosh, they're awkward to handle because it's basically it's sort of a diamond, and then they nestle really closely to each other, so you have to use a lot of beads. And oh my gosh, it was just, and also I spent most of the week on calls. So, like, there's only a certain part of my desk that I can work on. And so I sort of like have to lean back so you can't see my sewing arm going up and back. And then my work has to be on this certain set, like this quarter of my desk that can't be seen because like I have my laptop up on a box. Anywho, so it was all very yeah, and then I obviously wait until the call finished, like the end of work day, and then I took the photos then. That's why you can sort of see my laptop still hanging around in the background. Anyway, too much information. So it took me forever to finish this design feature on the back, but I love it so much. There's one bead at the top that's sort of, because the beads are nestled, as I said, so closely together that they sort of push each other out in, like, because the top row was obviously, I did the outside first, so the spacing on that is slightly not perfect. See, there's one there. And yeah, so I have to go back and just, I think if I add another 2 stitches, it will be fine. But yeah, it's kind of annoying. It's annoying me. But on the whole, I think it looks amazing. Like, can you imagine if you have had an entire jacket just covered in those beads? It would take forever. At this point, because we're sort of more than halfway through the year. Mind you, I've only done 3 of my Make 9 jackets. Oh, this is me showing you that this one is done. And I really like the fringe on this one. And it reminded me how much I love pale pink, white and red together. It has to be that sort of cherryish red though, not that dried blood red with a bit of yellow in it. I'm not a fan of that one. So anyway, I think that's really cute. I'm going to do that color combination again. But this one is the apricot jacket. So the pale pink background of this particular quilting cotton, it can either be pale pink or sort of an apricot-y pale pink, depending on what beads you use on it. So one I've sort of leaned into the apricot and the other one I've leaned into the pale pink. So on the one that I leaned into the apricot, like I did a sample section of the fringe, but it was just so difficult to do that design detail on the back of the other one because I constantly had to work around these long bits of beaded fringe with my, bit of thread every time I took it through the back, and it was really frustrating. So I decided on this one I would do this design feature first and then I would do everything else. Oh yeah, on the second one I sort of used these transparent red beads that are sort of they're kind of on the orangey side, whereas the other one, the red beads I'd used on the other one are sort of on the cherry touch of blue side of red, if you get what I mean. And this one is slightly smaller, so there was a row at the top, but it kind of just looked wrong, so I ended up taking that off. So I have to add a few more owls to the top, and once I've done that, just to the top of above the triangle there. And once I've done that, then I have to finish the fringe. So this is obviously just the first layer of the fringe, and then the second layer is slightly different. So this is me showing you the beads. Very exciting. I think the point of showing you the beads was that I've only used half, so I can either use the other half as part of an entire beading design for another jacket, or I can use them as the design feature on the back on a different jacket. I think I will probably use them as a design feature because I was really impressed with the way that it turned out, because I wasn't sure. They're just that little bit too big for a bead, because a lot of the beads that I have, I bought them way back when I was making a beaded trim for each jacket, rather than doing embellishment, which is beading all over. So yeah, I mean, you could use those larger. They're 1 centimeter, which is 10 millimeters, which is like the size of your thumbnail if you don't have like fancy nails, just have regular nails. So and you're the same size as me. This is not very... Anyway, so this is me showing you the other beads that I'm using. Oh, because I was worried that I was going to run out of the pale pink ones. I didn't. Colourful bag of small beads that I'm using had this sort of coral dusty pink bead, a pale pink bead, yellow and turquoisey sort of aqua beads. So I was using 2 of the 4 beads in the packet. And yeah, I used a lot of the pale pink and a lot of the dusty darker pink. So I think I'm working on a cherry jacket at the moment with these hilarious green metallic leaves. Oh, and this is me showing you that I think I finished the whole of the first row of the fringing, and I'm working on the second row of the fringing. For this apricot tone jacket, I did 2 layers of fringing around the entire jacket, whereas with the cherry and pale pink one, I call it the Hello Kitty one, I just did 2 layers around the bottom half of the jacket, and around the center front and in the neckline it only had 1 layer, I think, and then it had 2 layers on the cuffs of the sleeves. So this is me. I finally finished it, and I finished my work for the day. And so I put it up. I was a little disappointed that I didn't also get the cuffs, like the sleeves, done at this point. But it's actually an impressive amount of work because there's just so much beading in the first layer of the fringe and the second layer of the fringe. It's just amazing. And I really like the mix of colours too. So I had these cherry blossom type flowers in pale pink, pale apricot, and a sort of reddy apricot. And I sort of mixed them. I had a lot more of the pale pink ones. So obviously the top row is all pale pink. And then the bottom one, I sort of mixed everything. It does look like, in the 1950s, I think in that musical movie Grease, they have those pajama sets with the frilly tops and the plain trousers for the pajamas. It does kind of have a little bit of that going on. But when you see it in person, you can see that the beading is actually beading, not just frills. So, yeah, I think it's always, I don't know, it's nice documenting everything that I'm doing. So I do think there's a point to having videos, but the jackets in real life, they're just so adorable. I really, really love them. And they're just like, yeah, it's so cool having an entire wardrobe that's just for you. Oh, and as I was making these, I'm kind of glad that I took off the top row of the red triangle because the beading goes to just the right spot. And you can sort of tell, because it was a little bit late here, you can sort of see how 3-dimensional and how textured it goes from being just a plain flat quilting cotton to being just so textural. I absolutely love it. So obviously I finished the beading on the fringe on the sleeves at night, and then I just had to film it because when you finish something, it is so exciting. But this is what it looks like during the day. These transparent red beads that are slightly larger, they look so good when the sun shines through them. They are amazing. And I wasn't sure about them because it's an apricot jacket, but it just looks so good. And it really helps your eye see that there are little strawberries in each of the white dots. I love it. Anyway, so then I was all strawberry shortcaked out, and I decided I was going to do one of these 2 jackets. So, it was a little bit ambitious of me, but all I'd done that whole week, apart from, working, was all I'd done sewing-wise was fringe on 2 jackets, which is a lot, but doesn't feel like a lot. So I was like, I'll at least start something else. I got out the 2 cherry ones, and one of them is going to have red and pink on it, I think. And originally the other one was going to have dark green beads with these cherry shaped beads that I've got. they're like kids' jewellery bits. But then I remember I went through a box and it's got all these different sorts of leaves in it. Finally found those other transparent green leaves that I've been looking for a couple of months ago. Anywho, I'll use them maybe this month or next month. I also found these metallic green leaves, and these are hilarious. So I think they're originally supposed to be like, they've got 2 holes in one end. So I think you're supposed to like buy them and make earrings out of them or something. But there's loads of them. Like, I got a whole bag. And I'm just going to try and use them all on one jacket. So because it had been such a pain to do the feature after I'd done the fringe on that strawberry shortcake, the Hello Kitty jacket, I was like, right, I'm doing the design feature first. I don't care what else, I'm going to do that one first. So as you can see at the bottom left, I've done like a couple of, I just tested it to make sure it would look good. And this is me sort of moving from side to side, because the thing about these leaves that makes them so fabulous is that they're metallic. And I just feel like I have to keep moving from side to side to side so you can see how metallic they are. And it's fabulous. But the problem with metallic beads is, well, these particular ones, is that you have to stitch them on, and you either have to use metallic green thread, which I do have, but if you've ever used metallic thread, you know that it's basically just thread with a metallic foil wrapped around it, and the metallic foil always breaks. It's incredibly brittle, so it's good for embroidery or decorative top stitching if you use really small bits. But it's not so good for, stitching beads on, because when you stitch a bead on, you want to use a strong thread. So I use poly thread. Some people use cotton because they're like, oh, I want everything to be natural. I absolutely believe I'm using cotton fabric here. I love cotton fabrics, but when it comes to thread, I want a strong thread, so I use poly. I've got a whole video on like a tutorial on how I do the beading, so you can check out that one. Or you can just press pause and look at one of the jackets close up. And if you look at something, you can usually tell how things are stitched on. So with this one here, you can actually see that I've used, the color of the thread is right, but I didn't end up using the metallic green thread that I had. I just used plain poly green thread in the pretty much correct shade of green. So this is me slowly covering the entire thing, but because they're like basically pieces of earrings, they don't really have proper bead holes, so you just have to do like 6 or 8 stitches on each leaf. They're tiny stitches, and on every single one, like there's hundreds of them, you have to do these 8 stitches. And because they're not really bead holes, they're just gaps in the leaf, I have to use a beading needle, and beading needles are very, very fine. So they're hard to thread, and you have to be very careful when you're using them because, they're so thin, they can bend. But yeah. So anyway, I finished these 2 strawberry shortcake jackets, and I've started the other one, but the one with the green metallic leaves, but I've still got half the front of the green metallic leaf one to go. And once I've finished the base beading, I think I'm going to have some more leaves left over. So I think I'll do some dangling down ones as well. And this is me just trying to show you what's in each bit of fringe. I've got some of those beads left over too, so maybe I'll make the fringe on the sleeves go just a little bit further around. So instead of leaving half of it unbeaded, maybe I'll extend a little bit so that it's only a third left unbeaded. I was just worried that I was going to run out of beads. That's why I did only half of the cuff. Anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you've been inspired to do some beading. I know a lot of you have said that you've been inspired to add some beading to your existing jackets or make jackets so that you can bead them. That's very exciting. I love bling clothing. I just think it's like, we live in a pretty terrible world. And I don't know, just if you can brighten your world, then have at it. Anyway, thanks again for watching and happy sewing and beading.